Issue 255. Oh, blasts from the past. This should be interesting. After I had no idea what was going on in the first page, as we see all sorts of Eggmans from different parts of his life, even a ghost, it turns out that this is actually all of them showing up to fight Sonic at once. One of them at least is kind of justified in thinking he can fight Sonic, because he has some robotic extra limbs coming out of his back, taking advantage of his technology scientist identity. I guess it's ripping off Dr. Octopus, but I'm not familiar with him, so whatever. Ghost Eggman goes into Sonic's chest, saying that it's his turn to hunt him. This briefly made me think Sonic would be possessed by him, but of course not. Then the Eggman with the spiked wristbands shocks Sonic in the chest and reveals that he, in fact, wasn't the one who brought all of the Eggmans from history here. Sonic says that the one Eggman missing is the one from his time, and he asks what's keeping him from getting out of the house. Then we see the current Eggman on a bunch of screens with all of the Sonics from the various periods of time wreaking havoc with Badnik fighting. So wait, if Sonic in the past saw this, wouldn't he remember seeing Eggman in this metal helmet brain state and find it familiar when he'd see it for the proper first time? This is such a paradox. Sonic wonders who brought them here, smirking at getting an army of his own, and classic Eggman says that he's tracked Sonic to here, with all the Eggmans fighting all the Sonics in one tiny cramped room. This is such a charming story. We see a thin Eggman with a magician's outfit shooting magic out of his glove, saying that he'll summon the source of this turbulence. So is he really an Eggman from the future or an Eggman from another dimension? This story would work so much better if these were all Eggmans and Sonics from other zones instead of other time periods, creating a paradox because the present versions of them don't remember all this happening. It turns out that the people who summoned all of them here is a pirate copy of Omni that the Metalix created to wipe Eggman out of history. Cool, we get to see him again. He says he was programmed to carry out a backup plan, as I wonder why it took so long to do it or why warp to the future to do it instead of doing it right away. For some reason, evil Omni thinks that this is a battle that will destroy the timelines themselves. Then Sonic runs away, planning to get help, and he returns with Vector and the real Omni. Wait, what? Isn't his reputation ruined? Why would either of them come to help him or believe anything he says? This is overly convenient. It would have felt better if we had gotten to see him try to convince them to help him, and they'd be like, well, okay, we'll help you because we have to, but we don't like you. Also, I remember just now that Omni claimed he was omniscient in the special zone, hence why he's called Omni. So why doesn't he immediately clear Sonic's name? Which, he cleared Knuckles' name when he accused Knuckles of still working for Eggman, because he had camera footage. Wouldn't he have camera footage of Sonic? Vector and Sonic hooked the fake Omni up to the real deal, and Vector says he's wiped the old programming and replaced it with a brand new female Omni. That was easy. Well, I love this idea, but that was really quick and rushed. I mean, like, this is the kind of thing that, like, the pirate evil Omni has come back for a story. Like, I'd expect it to be like a epic story arc. Maybe if I had seen the evil Omni as the one who caused this whole mess right from the very beginning, I wouldn't have felt like he'd been wasted as a villain that being defeated the second after he introduced himself again. The story ends with Omni's new girlfriend returning everyone to their proper times. She doesn't mention anything about the memories being wiped, so paradox. And Eggman lampshades that he adapts to any new circumstance full of Sonic's incarnations all look similar. The story just ends right there with no explanation of why and how Vector agreed to help Sonic when it's not like Sonic can go talk to Omni whenever he wants with his reputation ruined. In the next story, we see that Blaze had an awkward childhood because of her fire powers. Sadly, no one knows where her powers came from, and even where she came from because the writer got lazy. The narration asks if she was some kind of genetic experiment. If that's the case, explain that, because that'd be interesting. Don't just hint at it. Blaze didn't care much for growing up in the orphanage, and we see her threatening people with fire as the narration says that being different can be a good thing. I love seeing an actual backstory for Blaze, even if it's this half-hearted one. We see that Blaze traveled her world zone by zone, even finding a place that worshipped her powers as a gift from the gods. Naturally, she stayed there for a while. Why didn't she always stay there? That's the one place where she's really appreciated and belongs. Also, these guys remind me of the ancient walkers. Blaze reflects on the fact that when she was in the orphanage, she was naturally always being watched because of her dangerous powers. The burning began, with continent after continent falling before it, which is pretty dark. She found the cause of all the destruction. Oh, I guess Iblis? Then say that. And for no reason, she then woke up many years earlier in a place that looks like Emerald Hill Zone. Wait, so is she actually from Sonic's future in this comic? And that's where the story ends, with her swearing to make the person who caused that burning pay. So it's either Shadow or Iblis, or maybe Sonic went crazy in his super form, which would make sense from his bad reputation, but why would he attack someplace other than the one that banished him from it? That'd make no sense. In the next story, we see Silver in his bad future, which has a place called Emerald Hill Zone and is all red looking. He welcomes everyone home as the last hero standing. As I think about how we clearly saw Mobius in a happy, good future long after when Silver's future is supposed to take place, with a Sonic statue in it during Amy Techno Zone hopping, proving that this has to be a separate dimension, or at least an erased timeline. Like the future of Fleetway's anti-Mobius, perhaps. Rather than being a future that blatantly contradicts canon, because I'm pretty sure canon official comic trumps fan continuation. I'd imagine it's like at B-level continuity canon, where if it contradicts the official canon comic, then it's wrong, but otherwise it's just as canon as it. Silver goes to the Underground Resistance HQ, where it's shown that his job is to help survivors for his bosses. The guy in a lab coat says that since Silver can't destroy Iblis entirely, somehow Silver knows where this is going, and it's going to the idea of time travel, to travel 70 years back in time to destroy Iblis when it's weak. I mean, he has telekinesis, can't he just completely disintegrate it and tear it apart, like, right away? Oh good, it's explained how he's able to make a time machine. This is better than, well, Flynn did show how he can time travel, but not why he just didn't time travel to right when he needs to. He used the data recovered from what was left of the Omni Viewer, and his device uses chaos energy to bridge the space-time continuum, and thus requires the remaining 3 emeralds. So do they have the other emeralds, or were they destroyed, or stolen by the Dracons? Silver says that he has to track down the floating island and negotiate with the crazy loon who lives on it. Knuckles? This reminded me of, like, Edmund for Flynn. He's told that the island will pass near the peak of Hilltop's Mountain of Destiny in 3 days. Someone who's talking to him, I guess from over the phone, is somehow able to detect his rapid heart rate. Silver lampshades that of course Knuckles will be crazy because he's lived alone for 85 years. Yeah, solitary confinement can really do a number on a person, though I still don't know if it'd have the same effect if a person has a whole bunch of wide open space to himself with lots to do, rather than a confined cell. Oh, Silver's working for Future Gun. Makes sense. See, this is what 06 should have done. Like, shown us him interacting with civilians, so there's something at stake, and, like, stuff like that. Knuckles complained sadly about what they did to his island and his emeralds. He failed them all, so they never came back. Knuckles lets him take the emeralds since he's depressed anyways, and fortunately Silver's able to convince him to come along. Then there's an alarm and red light at the base because Iblis has started coming for the emeralds. Silver's told that he needs to go to the past and focus on his mission there, while the elderly Knuckles will fight Iblis instead. Then it turns out that it's Super Sonic who's in the middle of Iblis. I heard about this. Remember Ebony trying to separate Super Sonic from Sonic? Well, reading that issue gave me an idea that this was what really caused this to happen. Also, again, this has to be an alternate dimension, since Sonic was clearly worshipped as a hero with a statue in the Good Future Mobius long after this point, that this is contradicting. I mean, I'd understand Sonic snapping at Mobius for banishing him from it after everything he did for it, especially since it's Fleetway Sonic. But come on, that can't be it. That require a lot of guts to make Sonic the ultimate villain, eventually. Though that would be a refreshing twist, having Silver actually be right about Sonic. But yeah, if Ebony tried to separate Super Sonic from Sonic once, she could do it again. And I know she's in later issues. Plus, we've seen one parallel Mobius already, the evil King Sonic. Why not another one? How would they be able to tell the difference between a portal back in time and a portal to a similar looking dimension? The first story was by Tom Huxley. It was a charming story where we saw a whole bunch of different incarnations of Eggman all go after Sonic, and then a bunch of other incarnations of Sonic fight the normal Eggman. Though since they're all crowded together and end up fighting in a small cramped room, none of them really get to do anything interesting action-wise. I can't describe a single thing any of them did aside from one Eggman as magic, and the Sonics fight Badniks. I mean, at least in, I think it was called Night of the 9,000 Sonics, we saw all of the Sonics spin dash a giant mecha at once. That was more interesting. I love the twist that it was the evil Omni viewer who did this. Though why he waited so long to do this instead of doing it as soon as possible like I had assumed, I don't know. And I really liked the fact that he was turned into a girlfriend for Omni. I was happy for him. But the biggest plot hole is why Vector and the real Omni were even found by Sonic, let alone agreed to come help him when his reputation was ruined. This would have made more sense if it had taken place before the smear campaign. That would have been one text box. The second story is by Mike Corker and gives Blaze a backstory where she grew up in an orphanage feared for her fire powers, explored the world, and then Iblis suddenly threatened her dimension from a completely different one, and for no reason she was sent to Emerald Hill Zone years earlier. Huh? And the third story was by Stephen Davis, and tries to have me believe that it's Super Sonic who's controlling Iblis to destroy Silver's future. Yeah, let's just take it at face value that the protagonist and hero of the comic would do this. This better get explained properly, because for now, I'm just gonna believe it's a separate dimension entirely and this isn't what it looks like. After all, why would Super Sonic's super form last that long instead of constantly running out? Well, maybe he got a whole bunch of energy. Sonic would obviously run out of superpower eventually if he didn't, and he only goes super when his life is desperately in danger, so the only logical explanation to him staying super for so long is that his super form became a separate entity. But even then, Super Sonic wanted to throw the moon at Mobius and completely destroy it immediately. So it wouldn't have lasted long enough for Silver to be born, like 70 years. What, did he time travel to the future when everyone who betrayed him and turned on him would probably be dead or senile? Why? And again, I'll be happy to point out that we already saw a good future of Mobius like 1,000 years later. And it even had a statue of Sonic in it. Pretty big plot hole there. How does Silver even still exist? If he could have only existed in a timeline that gets erased because of his actions?